Genesis 3:2. And the woman said to the serpent, we may eat the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God has said, you shall not eat it, nor shall you touch it, lest you die. Then the serpent said to the woman, you will not surely die. For God knows that in the day you eat of it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil. So this is the story of the tree of the knowledge of the fruit of the tree of good and evil. So it started with Adam and Eve when they ate from the fruit of this tree, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. They ate the fruit of the seeds of the bad, which is sin, inequity, and transgression. They ate from the seeds of the flesh and all the works of the flesh. The first work of the flesh was murder. Cain murdered Abel. So now because of Adam and Eve, we are all under the curse of the law. And the number one thing that happens to us is that death is introduced into the human variable. And everything else that is bad into this world was introduced by Satan in the Garden of Eden when Eve ate from the tree, the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and bad. Because Satan had gaslighted them and convinced them that they would have eternal life, like this Christmas tree, and they would be like God, knowing good from bad. Well, in the Garden of Eden, they only knew God, and they only knew good. When they ate of the tree, they then understood what bad was, because then they had shame, because they didn't even know they were naked. When they ate from the seed of this fruit, shame blanketed them, and that was the first work of the flesh, and it is leading to the curse of the law, which is people that are worshiping the pagan gods are worshiping this tree, which is the pagan god of fertility that people decorate at Christmas. They worship trees, which is the Kabbalah tree, which is Jewish mysticism, basically Jewish witchcraft. And it stems from the seed of the Garden of Eden, the seed of flesh that Satan introduced into our human reality. This tree represents eternal life, but satanic immortality, which is like vampires, and it's going to artificially allow people to live forever, but it's not the way that God intended it. It's a satanic counterfeit of that. Remember, Satan gaslighted Adam and Eve and made them believe they surely wouldn't die. So the beast of this system, the god of this world, will lead people to believe that they've accomplished immortality, so that one of the reasons for immortality is that if they never die, the Satanists believe they'll never be judged. Okay, next part in history. Abraham and Hagar had relations, and it caused Ishmael. Ishmael was born of the flesh, and he represents captivity. The son of perdition, the Antichrist, the counterfeit of Jesus, will come through the bloodline of Ishmael, which is coming through the Kabbalah tree from the Garden of Eden. It's all related. The rock and the Mecca cube in the Muslim religion is a divination connector to the constellation of the cube in the constellations. And Ishmael is linked to that cube somehow. They walk counterclockwise 7 times around the satanic cube. And the cube is through Ishmael that gave birth to the Kabbalah. The Illuminati is the Kabbalah, Jewish mysticism. The Kabbalah is the tree in the Garden of Eden of the knowledge of good and evil, the tree that we were not supposed to eat of. The bloodline of the son of perdition will come through the Kabbalah tree. The man of lawlessness will be birthed through the bloodline of that Kabbalah tree. Remember, Jesus had a protected bloodline too, which came through the opposite of, through Abraham and Sarah came Isaac, and the bloodline of Jesus came through Isaac. So do you understand what's happening here? So to the present, the Christmas tree is the seed of the Kabbalah, the seed of the Garden of Eden, of the flesh, the works of the flesh, the seed of the knowledge of good and bad. And it is under the curse of the law, and it is pagan. This is why they needed fertility worship of pagan gods. God cursed the satanic seed when he the flood killed the children of Satan, he cursed their ability to reproduce. This is why pagan gods are needed for fertility rites, because they were cursed with not being able to reproduce. So this is what this tree represents.